We are going to learn from this movie called Look Who Is Back. Berlin during World War II, Hitler is with a behavior coach, Keppel. Hitler complains that the Nazi salute is out of fashion, but that people should still show respect by raising their hands up to the wrist in greeting. He then said that he had done everything possible to destroy the foundation of the enemy who had desecrated their land. He finds the presence of the Germans inexplicable. In the next scene, he wakes up on the ground somewhere in the forest, looking at the sky. He saw that the enemy planes were gone, and suspected that they might have rested. Out of nowhere, a ball comes skipping towards him and stops right next to him. He raises himself and heads towards the structure past the shrub. He is then moved toward by three small children who question him, assuming he is alright. Hitler takes a gander at them and thinks that they are the fate of the country. He then asks them the way to the road. Right then and there, a correspondent, Sawatsky, is shooting the children with his camera. Hitler is seen on the furthest side of the screen. He gets his military cap and shares with himself that he ought to go to the Führer dugout. Hitler gets to the road and is astonished by individuals riding monorail bicycles. He finds individuals catching him on their cameras and communicates that however the rebel went, individuals have gone distraught. Then he feels a cutting-edge vehicle by his hand and questions himself. Assuming he fell into a trance-like state and missed the triumph, he understands that he doesn't know about his circumstance completely and makes himself aware of gather more data than he gets some information about the area of Chancellery. However, the individual rather asks him for an image. He gets upset by the camera's blazes as individuals approach him and take photographs in turns, befuddled by the uncommon occasions around him. He concludes that something went out of hand in this place. As Hitler walks away, he finds a woman speaking in German on her phone. He comes closer and asks her about the current date. But the woman is terrified and sprays his eyes. Hitler cries in pain as his eyes get reddish and his vision gets blurred. He stumbles and walks to a newspaper shop nearby. He gets stunned to see the date. October 3, 2014, composed on the paper, and tumbles to the ground without a moment's delay. Elsewhere, the supervisor of a television slot, Karner, acclaims Mr. Christoph Sensenbrenner for his fantastic occupation as the representative head. He proposes a higher arrangement, yet rather reports another specialist named Ms. Katja Bellini as the overseeing chief. Because of this, Christoph is stunned and disappointed. He comes to his office and vents his resentment out at a striving producer named Fabian. In spite of Fabian's best endeavors to persuade his chief, he gets terminated and tossed out by the gatekeepers. In a little while, Hitler awakens at the news shop and gets some information about the date. He affirms that it is truth be told 2014. A befuddled Hitler questions on the off chance that the business person has kidnapped him and suspects that this is every one of the stunt play of the foe's mystery administration. He takes steps to kill the retailer in the event that he is working for the adversary. However, the retailer provides him with a bar of chocolate, all things considered. Hitler opens it after truly a battle and sniffs it. He pronounces it to be economically squeezed green and questions the business person in the event that there is as yet a deficiency of bread. The business person inquires as to whether they are recording a narrative someplace close by, confusing him with an entertainer. The retailer then says that he closely resembles the Führer, to which Hitler answers that he is the Führer. From that point forward, Hitler sees the Turkish paper and inquires as to whether the retailer has Schirmer or Panzer Bar. The retailer says that he has more Turkish clients. Hitler is flabbergasted at the presence of Turkish individuals in Berlin. He then begins gathering data from the paper while understanding it. That he didn't win the conflict previously and Germany was given to the hands of cumbersome ladies having the charm of a wet noodle. He further regrets the presence of Poland and closes the conflict to be a complete waste. In the interim, Fabian views his video announcing about soccer and some miserable at the way that he was terminated. Simply sit back and relax, Fabian. His mom quiets him and requested that he stop the video. Seeing Hitler behind Fabian is entertained at the revelation of a so comparative individual to Hitler. Back in the shop, the business person requests that Hitler keep the paper to the side and stand outside Hitler. Feelings of spite at being approached to work. The business person proposes Hitler clean his garments for they smell. He then goes to a clothing place and requests that they clean his uniform. Hitler inquires as to whether they have one more uniform since he can't leave there. Hitler doesn't comprehend that he's in advanced Germany now and bareness is no biggie. Then, we see Hitler strolling to the new basement with pants and a sweater on. Hitler's look and button. Fabian, then again, has some way or another figured out how to track down him and is sitting tight for him in the shop. Subsequent to getting a glance at Hitler, he is stunned at his appearance. Fabian inquires as to whether he can film him as he walks through present-day Germany. Fabian takes up a few money and a vehicle from his mom. The two end up in an inn where Hitler gets entertained at seeing the TV. He then, at that point, chooses to discuss legislative issues in Fabian's show. He goes to put asking individuals in regards to their perspectives on governmental issues. After the meetings, he observes that there was negligible effect of a majority rules government upon individuals during his non-attendance. He assesses discontent and stifled outrage in individuals, which helps him to remember the 1930s when individuals had comparative perspectives yet missed the mark on term political disappointment. Afterward, Fabian requests Hitler the source from his special mustache. Hitler answers that he sliced his mustache to a shape that fits a gas veil. Sometime later, the two end up on a homestead where Hitler gets bit by a canine. He is incensed and takes shots at the creature. Fabian chides him and holds onto the firearm. As the visit goes on, Fabian in the long run reaches a financial dead end. However, he thinks about an arrangement and persuades the passers-by to have their portrayals drawn by Hitler. Hitler at long last will display his innovative side and draws snide pictures, which individuals track down entertaining and pay for. Fabian shows a clasp of Hitler to Christoph. The video has a great deal of perspectives as Fabian has transferred it to the web. Christoph is intrigued by the huge number of perspectives on the video. He asks Fabian for Hitler's name and contact number. Subsequent to meeting him, Christoph suspects Hitler to be an insane person and requests that Fabian remove him from his office prior to leaving. Hitler enters the chief's office and requests that she save Germany along with him, intrigued by the thought. Bellini gets some information about the arrangement. She rapidly requests that her collaborator set up a legitimate television designed for broadcasting the Führer on paying attention to Hitler's thought. Fabian then, at that point, compromises Christoph to give him his work back, or, in all likelihood he will remove Hitler. On hearing this, Christoph makes him a kitchen kid, promising to advance him when another publication post opens up. Kitchen kid is superior to a temporary position, I presume. In a little while, Hitler is given a table at the television studio. Christoph calls Colonel Meyer to assist Hitler with PC use. Hitler reviews the PCs of his days and named the creation to be one of the best Chrome. Meyer attempts to join Hitler through email, however illuminates him that his name is now taken. Hitler snorts for others taking his name and advises her to involve New Reichschancellery as he loved it. Christoph plans to put Hitler on a live parody show called Hold Up Buddy. He is as yet pungent on the grounds that Bellini got an advancement rather than him and means to make inconvenience for her. He expects to carry prejudice to the discussion through mocking jokes on Jews and toss out Hitler. The show starts in Bet Sigmund. The host calls for Hitler on the stage. The crowd tattles about Hitler's appearance. However, when Hitler looks at the crowd, the lobby goes totally quiet. Hitler before long ends the quiet, yet doesn't peruse out the lines as prearranged. He makes sense of that he needs to make a wisecrack about migrants, however he won't do as such. He says that a television is an extraordinary creation of the human, yet the shows communicated are gibberish. Obviously, Hitler hadn't seen round of high positions yet. He reveals insight into issues like destitution and joblessness and estimates that individuals of the nation are going towards the pit without seeing it. Hitler commitments to battle against the television, not just up to the transmission of the chasm, yet in addition until he prevails with regards to defeating them. Everybody enjoys the thought and applauds him. Seeing Hitler's ubiquity, the host with Sigmund gets desirous. Bellini requests that Christoph broadcast Hitler in each show. Christoph is upset due to the disappointment of his arrangement. In the accompanying scene, we see Hitler give interviews on various television programs and offer that his rationale is to make Germany extraordinary once more. Goodness! This film was forward-thinking. His prevalence develops gigantically and he meets a few group and party pioneers. He begins enchanting them generally by sharing his thoughts. At some point, Hitler and Fabian visit NPD base camp in Berlin. He calls for Ulfbian, the government administrator of NPD, and asks him what his objective has accomplished up to this point. Hitler deprecates him and says that they have burned through sufficient opportunity and the development is shocked by a long time because of their words. Christoph gets invigorated and blissful when the police and lead prosecutor Dina show up at the television studio. They make sense of that they are hanging around for an objection of charging infringement of can't stand regulations. Bellini asks what they are to do then. Rapidly, Christoph pop that they could have to drop the Führer show. The DEA says that they can keep the telecom on. Bellini takes a moan of help while Christoph fakes his grin. After the DEA leaves, Colonel Meyer gives up a letter to Christoph expressing the installment of the canine, which Hitler had shot before in his outing. Christoph gets the letter cheerfully, accepting it very well may be a method for creating problems. Then, Hitler is placed on a television program where he is posed direct inquiries about his various jobs in the conflict. Hitler answers that he needs to contact individuals, however the questioner lets him know that every one of his deeds can't be legitimate. He shows him the clasp of him shooting the canine. The video upsets the crowd. Hitler is enraged and undermined him that he would do likewise to him. He further says that he will move their studio toward a parking garage for tanks. Christoph gets more joyful seeing individuals' negative reactions. After the grievous meeting, Bellini is terminated and Christoph is selected as the new director. From that point forward, Hitler goes to Fabian's home and starts residing with him. He communicates entertainment at the way taken by fate and begins to compose his subsequent book. The book before long raises a ruckus around town. After 90 days, at the television studio, everybody sits in a gathering where the gigantic parcel that the organization has gone through is examined. Christoph accepts that with portions show will return them on target. In any case, one representative illuminates him that he has left his place of employment. Christoph gets tense and distraught at the show's representatives for losing the show. One of the staff proposes getting Hitler back, which intrigues Christoph. He searches for Hitler once more and offers Fabian that he will put 1 million in the film that Fabian and Hitler are shooting, assuming consequently they let them broadcast the film on their channel. Hitler and Fabian come to Colonel Meyer's home, where Kromer's grandma distinguishes Hitler. She guarantees that Hitler gassed everyone individuals up and killed them. She calls him a lawbreaker and yells at him to get out of the vehicle. Hitler shares that he is shocked at Kromer being a Jew. He begins to deprecate Jews, calling them less of people. Fabian gets disheartened. Hitler's activities and his words back in the set. Fabian gets Hitler to replay how he arrived at the spot. He asks Hitler what occurred before the ball came moving to him in the forest. However, Hitler can't recall it. Later around evening time, he strolls off the set and is encircled by certain hooligans. They call him the motivation to take Germany back and give him a hard blow all over. As Hitler wakes up, he winds up in a medical clinic before Berlin. Simultaneously, Fabian investigates the recording of the video he caught about the young man in soccer. He watches it intently and finds Hitler rose from where he was lying. Fabian gets astounded at what occurred before it. He rapidly goes to the spot and finds a board at the area expressing the verifiable area of Führer dugout. Fabian races to the medical clinic yet doesn't track down Hitler. Bellini says that he has gone to the shooting set. Fabian uncovers that he is the genuine Adolf Hitler, yet Bellini doesn't trust him. The watchmen attempt to get him, however he escapes. Fabian then, at that point, arrives at the set and points a firearm at Hitler. At the point when gotten some information about his character, Hitler makes sense of that he never professed to be any other individual. Fabian says that Hitler is tricking individuals with his misleading publicity, to which Hitler answers that individuals chose a pioneer who shared his entire thought straightforwardly in 1933. Fabian takes Hitler to the highest point of a structure with his firearm. He corners Hitler and proclaims him to be a beast. Hitler, thusly, applauds back, saying that customary individuals chose an uncommon man and shared the destiny of the country with him. He made sense of that individuals picked him since they bear similar qualities in their internal hearts. An irritated Fabian shoots Hitler, making him tumble off the structure onto the road. Before long, Fabian hears Hitler's voice, who says that no German can dispose of him, and Hitler, who has quite recently tossed down, shows up right behind it once more. All of a sudden, Berliner requires a cut in the studio and everybody supports the shoot. Turns out that it was only a film shoot and an irregular entertainer was assuming the part of Fabian. Hitler then, at that point, requests that everybody recollect the friends who couldn't be with them elsewhere. Kromer is wailing, seeing Fabian through an opening in the psychological ward. Hitler and Milena are occupied with giving signatures and meetings to individuals after the film blasts as they pass by a vehicle. Individuals on the road appear to be attached to Hitler and welcome him with deference.